The world of digital finance is moving at an absolutely breakneck speed. It is exciting, it's innovative, but let's be real, it can be incredibly chaotic. There's a new token over here, a new service over there. It's like everyone's speaking the same language, but with no shared dictionary. So today, we're going to decode the global effort to finally write that dictionary, a rulebook that's about to change literally everything.
So let me ask you a question. What on earth could possibly link these three things together? I mean, on the surface, they feel like they're from different planets. You've got a volatile digital currency, a totally radical new way of doing lending and trading, and then a feature inside an app you use to get a ride home. Well, the answer is that they're all part of this massive digital finance ecosystem that has, up until now, been operating without any clear definitions.
And that lack of clear definitions, that creates a huge problem, a world of, well, interpretive gray areas. I mean, when one regulator calls the token a security, but another one calls it a utility, and the company itself calls it something else entirely, you have a recipe for total confusion. And this isn't just some academic debate, It's a high-stakes game where getting the definition wrong has serious, real-world consequences.
And the costs of getting it wrong are just immense. For instance, a company might launch a new token, right? They're thinking it's a simple utility, but then a regulator swoops in and declares it a security. That one single misstep can lead to absolutely crippling penalties, total operational chaos, and a complete breakdown in their entire strategy. The stakes just could not be higher. But here's the good news. Out of all this chaos, a real solution is starting to emerge. Major global bodies, we're talking everyone from the Financial Action Task Force to the European Commission, they are all working together to build a universal language for digital finance. They are creating a single, shared rulebook to finally bring some order to the Wild West. Now, the official term for this rulebook is a taxonomy. Okay, I know, don't let the fancy word throw you. Just think of it like a universal dictionary. Its only job is to create standardized categories for everything in digital finance, the assets, the services, the tech, so that everyone, finally, is speaking the same language. And that eliminates those dangerous gray areas we were just talking about. So what's actually inside this new rulebook? What's the anatomy of it? Well, it's built on three core pillars that are designed to bring order to the entire digital finance ecosystem. Let's break them down. So, this whole new framework, it really stands on three pillars. First, classifying the assets themselves. Then, segmenting all the different services. And finally, getting some real clarity on the technology that powers it all. So, let's start with the assets. First up, asset classification. This pillar pushes us way beyond just saying crypto, and it forces us to get specific. Is a token used for exchange, kind of like a currency? Or is it a utility token that gives you access to a service? Or is it a security token representing actual ownership? The same deep dive applies to stablecoins. Are they backed by real-world cash and reserves, or by some complex algorithm? This level of detail, this clarity, it's the bedrock for a stable market. Okay, the second pillar is service segmentation. And guess what? This is where your Uber wallet comes right back into the picture. The taxonomy creates these really clear buckets for different financial functions. So you've got digital banking for things like neobanks and payment services. You've got the super innovative world of DeFi with its lending and trading protocols. And then you've got embedded finance, those services built into non-financial apps like Shopify Balance. Now, they all have a clear home, which means much clearer rules for how they need to operate. And the final pillar, number 3, clarifies the technology stack itself. This is all about defining the tools and layers that actually power the whole system. So at the very bottom, you have the infrastructure, the blockchains, the oracles that feed them data, and the custody solutions that keep assets safe. Then, layered on top of that, you have the critical compliance tools for things like identity verification and transaction monitoring. By defining each layer, regulators can finally understand the risks and opportunities at every single level. Okay, so that's the theory, right? The 3 pillars of the taxonomy. But how are the really smart companies and compliance leaders actually using this new rulebook out there in the real world? Well, they're developing a whole new compliance playbook. They're basically taking 4 key actions. First, they do a gap analysis, where they audit all their products against these new definitions. Second, they update all their risk frameworks based on the new categories. Third, they lean into regulatory technology, or RegTech, to automate classification. And finally, and this one's huge, they train everyone across the company. Because let's face it, a rulebook is pretty useless if only the compliance team has read it. And really, that's the ultimate goal here.
It's getting everyone on the exact same page. When the product team designing a new feature, the legal team checking it, and the compliance team watching over it are all using the same definitions from the same rulebook, the whole organization just becomes more efficient, less risky, and, you know what's funny? Far more innovative.
So let's just zoom out for a second. Why does all of this, the taxonomy, the pillars, the playbook, why does it actually matter? It matters because it marks a fundamental shift in how digital finance is evolving. This is the moment we officially move from unstructured chaos to a structured, level playing field for everybody.
Think about it this way. We are leaving behind a past that was defined by all those risky gray areas and constant uncertainty, where the advantage really went to whoever could navigate the confusion the best. We are moving toward a future that's built on uniform categories, clear rules, and strategic efficiency. And this kind of clarity, it doesn't stifle innovation. No way. It actually enables it by creating a stable foundation for everyone to build on.
And that, of course, brings us to the final and most critical question. For years, the winners in digital finance were often the ones who could move the fastest in those gray areas. But now that the rulebook is finally being written and the playing field is being leveled for everyone, who's going to win? The innovators, the big established players, the regulators themselves? That is the big question that is going to define the next chapter of finance.